Room was a tent, and our board, well, he had a tripod there. Boy, he cooked that slum gully and he threw everything in the world. Bacon, rice, tomatoes, but we ate, and Dad was a pretty good cook too. He took care of us 4 boys for a few years, but anyway, they cooked breakfast. He had a little stove, you know, and boy, they cooked eggs, bacon, and man, Ray and I, 7, 10 years old, we was having a time of our life. No school,
It's like
you
living
know,
in
or
a
anything.
Western movie. Yeah.
And there's one tree there, mostly just sagebrush out there, but there once was one tree there where camp was. And there was one tree, and my brother, he could boost me up in it, and then he could climb. Well, all kind of cattle around there. King's Cattle Company was who Mr. West worked for. And they had cattle from Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, huge operation. But what they were doing, they needed a watering pond for that stock up in there. I mean, they had thousands of head of cattle up in there. And Mr. West, he was a geologist or whatever, something to do with the ground. And there were 3 springs within about a quarter-mile radius there, you know, water bubbling, you know, beautiful.
So they knew there was water.
Mr. West, he knew that the water table wasn't too deep. And what they were doing with pick and shovel and crowbar and pick, and they were digging, like digging for gold, but they were digging for water. And they had a pair of mules there, and they'd push their dirt up with a wheelbarrow and make a dike. Well, when they got so much dirt piled up there, well, they'd take an old Fresno drag with the mules, and they'd drag that dirt away so they didn't have to push it so far. And anyway, well, Mr. West, he would take Ray and I to town with him on Saturday, you know, to get groceries, and he treated old Ray and I as good as his own grandkids. One time he bought me a pair of cowboy boots, chaps, and toy pistols. I'd never had anything like that in my life. Bought old Ray a pellet gun, not a BB gun, but I mean, one that would penetrate a tree, you know, an inch deep. And that was one trip, oh, he'd buy us ice cream, you know, and everything. And another trip, in his old 34 Plymouth, we got after an antelope. And hey, we took out after that antelope, and he'd get within 100 yards or so of it, boy, blah, blah, blah. And then he'd jump back in, you know, and Ray'd reload for him. These boys were going to have fresh meat tonight. We're going to have fresh meat tonight. And he just kept jumping out and in, and we got a couple of miles off the ruts, and the radiator cap blew off that old Plymouth, and we busted a hole in the oil pan. The antelope run down a long hill there and lay down under some sagebrush. And Mr. West says, well, boys, he'll lay down there and die, but we don't have time to go get him. And it was about 4 o'clock in the evening now on Saturday. And he said, now, I'm going to walk to camp and get your mules and your dad, and don't you boys dare leave this car out here on this desert. Just don't you dare. But he said, Ray, I'm going to leave the gun here. You know how to shoot it, you know.
2 little boys with a loaded gun.
But hey, we was out there and we heard everything in the world that night. Coyotes, you know, that's all it was. But boy, we'd hear an always no Ray, he'd grab that, well, he held on to that gun, really. And you know, the next morning, about daybreak, well, here come Dad and Mr. West riding up on them mules, you know, and hooked onto the old car and dragging it out and going back to camp. Well, Ray, that rascal, he got stirred, you know. And Dad, I walked with Dad behind the car, Mr. West. He led the mules while going downhill. Well, I would get to get in, and Dad, he would have to get in to ride the brakes, keep running over the mules, you know. But hey, it took probably 12 hours or so to get the old car to the camp. And then he and Dad rode the mules into Seligman and put tires and gasoline in the old A model and went to using it for transportation.